On this very special episode of Casual Mode, David and I are joined by my friend, LadyJess from Fool's Gold and Superhero Rundown. We're going to be talking NXT TakeOver Brooklyn and SummerSlam, as well as having an interview with her. And then, in the oldest established permanent floating segment, David and I are going to break down SummerSlam 1993 for our Wrestle Roll Rewind. It's Casual Mode episode 26, and it starts now. It's Casual Mode with Jeremy and David, episode 26 for September 2015, taking over SummerSlam. Hello everyone and welcome to Casual Mode, the podcast for geeks of all trades and masters of none. I am your host Jeremy, and with me as always is my little brother in every sense but the genetic, David.
Corn puffs.
But we are not alone because we have a very special guest on today's show.
Oh, special guest, yeah.
Yeah.
I got put corn puffs.
Coming to us from the show Fool's Gold, also part of the website Circle Plus and Nerdvice, my dear friend, LadyJess.
Hey, I really thought that the corn puffs were the special guests, so you know.
Good to have you on the show, Jess.
All the time. Yeah, you are.
Part of the reason we've got her on the show is because this is going to be predominantly wrestling oriented, since not too long ago we had NXT TakeOver in Brooklyn and SummerSlam 2015. But of course, we've also got her on the show simply because, well, I wanted to have her on the show. So.
And it actually coincided with the fact that I am not starting my semester until next week. Otherwise, I would have said, well, you're on your own.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy for me lately, too. I had started a new job a few weeks ago. Finally got through the actual training part of it.
Cool.
One of the top people in my class to come out of that. Very proud of that. And it is in the call center, so those of you out there, if for some reason you have to call AppleCare, there is a slight chance, however minute, that the voice you hear might be very familiar to you.
I never really need to call Apple for anything because my iPhone basically goes, I'm going to update now, and I'm like, okay.
I'm digging it so far, so. But it has been a pretty weird process as of late. Been kind of weird. Of course, we had the schedule slip on episode 25, which I am ever so apologetic for. Because, well, aside from the work type things, I also caught a lovely case of bronchitis. Because call center life, y'all.
Wow, that kind of sucks.
Yeah. I'm still not entirely back from it. You might be able to hear a little bit of gravel in my voice still. And my beautiful singing voice is not quite back to its normal range, but I have enough life in my voice that I sound drastically different than I did in the stinger of the last episode.
That sounds good.
Alright, before we begin with all the wonderfulness of the day, also a programming note for those of you devoted casual fanatics out there. The podcast after this episode is going to be going on pause for the rest of September. Unfortunately, my schedule is going to end up creating difficulties with being able to record things because I work on the days that I would normally record. Yay. But hey, if I do a good job, it may not be too long before I get a schedule change anyway. If they move me up or something. And aside from that, I'm going to still try and keep the channel alive, try and do some vlogs when I can, because among other things, my brother Robert and I are trying to get a move coordinated, which is going to take place around the middle of next month. So, please, casual fanatics, bear with us. Do not abandon ship. We're not leaving. Yet. as far as the long show goes, gotta take a little bit of a time out because shit be crazy, yo.
I guess I'll just take that time then to work on my gaming channel because the SDL is starting.
Yes, it is. Tell us a little bit more about that, David.
The Showdown Decimation League is kind of a draft-style Pokemon league. So basically, everyone that joins starts off by picking Pokemon from a roster. The 12 teams are divided into 2 conferences, which are the Alpha and the Omega Conference. And they have, little town names and stuff, names like my team is the Montreal Gardevoirs.
Of course, because his favorite Pokemon is Gardevoir.
And basically what they have is, for this particular draft anyways, you get 4 rounds of OU and Megas. So you got 1 Mega and 3 OUs. You get 3 rounds of UU, Smogon UU, 3 rounds of RU, and then 2 rounds of NU. And then you take those Pokemon, put them all together, and pretty much you got yourself a team. And then we play each other, and we'll be playing each other for the next 12 weeks. The top 8, I believe, will advance to the playoffs, though some are going to be choosing 6. We haven't fully decided yet what the playoff cut will be. But I think it'll be top 8. And then it'll be for those of you who are fans of the West Coast Conference, it'll be that style of a playoff, basically. Where number 3 battles number 4 of the division, or conference. The winner takes on number 2. Then the winner takes on number 1. And then, of course, the 2 winners of the conferences then meet in the championship game. Ace of Hearts will be broadcasting the Omega Conference. So you'll be getting all your games of the Omega Conference of the SDL at Ace of Hearts. The Alpha Conference, which is the one I'm in, is going to be shown in a brand new gaming channel. I believe it's called B&J Gaming from Alex Cohen, Major League Pokemon champion, starting his own YouTube channel. For those of you who wonder what B&J stands for, it's the Brit and the Jew.
That's really great, actually.
So Ace of Hearts and B&J Gaming will be bringing you all the action of the SDL straight to you starting, I believe, next week. I know Ace of Hearts is doing a lot of the analysis stuff as well, and we're probably going to be hosting the championship game as well.
It's competitive Pokemon. It's fantasy football. No, it's both.
And on top of that, we're also going to be doing Twitch casts for those who want to do basically real-time battling. We're definitely going to Twitch cast the playoffs if we can.
All right, now that we've gotten all the wonderful promotional type things out of the way, it's time to get into the meat of this episode, and we are going to start by grilling our esteemed guest. No, not literally. We are not cannibals here.
She didn't know it was tasty anyway.
Oh, I resent that remark.
Oh, David. David.
Never coming back to the show. Ever.
Okay.
He ruined it. It's done.
Okay.
Okay, well, while you are here for this show...
Damn it, I agreed to it. It's in my contract.
We didn't do a
that
contract.
you know of, apparently.
David?
What?
Did you create a guest contract without me knowing?
Let me check. Yes.
Damn it, bro.
I make it all professional and stuff, man.
So, anyway, Jess, why don't you start off by telling the people who may not necessarily know what it is you do on the internet.
I follow Simon Gotch on Twitter for the most part. That's literally,
well, aside from that,
that's literally my life. He is my husband. He just doesn't know it yet.
There's actually an interesting story about how you got Simon Gotch to follow you
I'll tell
on
that
Twitter.
story, but yeah, okay. So I'll actually tell that story while we're doing NXT Takeover. But yeah. So basically, in my own little corner of the universe, I review old Hollywood movies that are terrible and or good, depending on your definition of terrible and or good, because they could be like good, like The Room is good to riff on, good, or they could be like terrible in that they're racist and really, really sexist and really, really racist. Like Mickey Rooney wearing yellow face in Breakfast at Tiffany's. That was a thing that happened. Anyway, and then my other show is Superhero Rundown, where I review movies, live action movies, and live action superhero TV shows, and like basically break down their themes and like why they're important and that kind of thing. Currently, Arrow season 1 is coming out on Tuesday, and then I'm moving into Constantine. And a lot of people have asked me, "Are you going to do the new Supergirl?" And I was like, "Yes, as soon as a full season of Supergirl is out, I will be doing Supergirl." But I gotta wait for a full season. Like, I can't, like, I always wait for the full season because you never know what's going to happen in the second half of the season if I review it halfway through. So, like, when they take their fall break, I will not be reviewing anything that is from the fall this year coming up, because it will finish in the spring, and I will probably be doing it next summer. But I will be vlogging Deadpool, and I will be vlogging Batman vs. Superman, God help me, and I will be vlogging Civil War, Captain America Civil War, X-Men Apocalypse, and whatever other shenanigans happen next year. Other than that, like right now, there are no other superhero movies apparently slated for the rest of the year, so my next movie for vlogging will be Deadpool.
And you mentioned you're doing season 1 of Arrow and Constantine here pretty shortly, which is kind of fitting considering that Constantine is now coming to Arrow.
Yeah, actually, which I did not plan for that, but that was kind of a nice little thing. I will be mentioning that in my Constantine review. My biggest thing about Constantine, okay, Constantine got my mom into superhero TV shows, so I can't, like, get mad at it, like, ever. I can't even be mad that it got canceled, sort of, because it's not technically canceled, because Constantine is appearing in Arrow, and that might actually spark a season 2, which would be nice. But, yeah, it got my mom into superhero comic book, like, TV shows, so I can't even get mad.
This is the part where I get my guest ashamed in me, because honestly, the most contact I have with Constantine is the Keanu Reeves movie.
Get out. No, it's fine. A lot of people... actually, Constantine with Keanu Reeves is not as bad a representation as a lot of people think it is. It's actually pretty... It's not, like, the best adaptation, but in terms of comics, yes, the TV show is closer to the comic book, but at the same time, like, if you want a one-shot Constantine, that movie is probably your best bet. So it really depends on what you're looking for, whether you want an episodic one or if you want a one-shot. If you want a one-shot, Keanu Reeves is actually not that terrible an adaptation. If you want, like, a mini-series episodic thing, then yes, go with the Matt Ryan Constantine, because he is probably my favorite Constantine ever. But yeah, that's kind of that noise. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Why don't you tell us about how you got started reviewing, and especially specifically in the case of Fool's Gold, why you picked the golden age of Hollywood?
Okay, so why I got into reviewing. Perhaps you've heard of him, but Linkara is a good friend of mine, and I drew a lot of inspiration from him and how he was reviewing terrible comic books. I actually did not know who Nostalgia Critic was at the time that I started. This was way back in 2010. But what happened was I basically was like, so I want to review stuff, but I don't know how to go about doing this. So I got to pick something that I know nobody's ever going to, like, review. So into the Bing search engine, because Google wasn't a huge thing yet, not like it is now. But into the Bing search engine, I searched, because that's what my parents were using at the time. I searched reviews, and I searched things not being reviewed, which off a fluke, I just thought that would, like, help. It brought up no search results, so it's basically like, well, I saw that Lewis was part of Channel, what used to be That Guy with the Glasses, now Channel Awesome. And I went to that website, and I looked at everything, and I saw Lindsay, I saw Doug, I saw, all the people who were up there at the time. And I looked at all of them and I said, why is nobody doing the golden age of Hollywood? Like, the whole reason, like, movies still exist is because of the golden age of Hollywood, technically. Actually, the first sequel was made in 1921, which not a lot of people know that, but that's a thing that happened. But yeah, so I decided to start sketching out ideas, and my ex-boyfriend Joe and I came up with a lot of ideas for it, and we started filming it in like December of 2010. It debuted in January of 2011, so actually this coming January will be my 4th anniversary, which I'm planning something for it, but I am not allowed to tell you what it is. Not yet, because it's not set in stone. If it isn't what I think it is, then it's going to be something else, which I have also set in stone. Basically, if the one thing doesn't work out, it's just going to swap with 4 and 5. So, like, my 4th anniversary and my 5th anniversary are just going to swap. Yeah, basically, after that happened, I basically decided, yeah, I'm going to do this. And, at the very beginning, I wasn't as consistent, but now I'm trying to put out at least an episode every month, even if it's something from Superhero Rundown. And a lot of people ask me how I got into Superhero Rundown. The reason I got into Superhero Rundown was when I started grad school, my grandfather, before he passed away, had said, you have so much passion for these superheroes, like, why don't you make a series about it and, like, show why you're passionate about it? And I'm like, you know what, that's a really good idea. So I started sketching out ideas, and I released Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1, Part 2, 1 and 2 for Season 1. And then my grandfather passed away, and then I decided that I didn't want to do it anymore, because it was like, well, the whole point of it was, like, as a tribute to my grandfather kind of thing. But then, like, a bunch of my friends talked me back into it, because they were like, well, you have such passion for this project, so why are you stopping it? And I was like, you know what, you're right. So now, at the very end of every Superhero Rundown that is not a vlog, which is actually, like, research and all that other stuff, like, at the very end of Arrow Season 1 will be a In Love Is Always Now, in tribute to Reggie Poulin, or In Loving Memory Of, because he's the person who really inspired me to do it. So, yeah.
That's a great reason you get started with that, honestly. Sometimes you have someone in your life that just happens to inspire you, and that's the way they kind of live on in you.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I'm getting my family into it, because my family, outside of my grandfather, like, nobody understands my superhero obsession. So now that he's gone, I'm basically trying to say to my family, hey, this is why I'm obsessed with these, because reasons. Also, in case a lot of people also ask me who my favorite superheroes are, they constantly change, but I can't tell you that my favorites, my grandfather's favorite superheroes are Spider-Man and the Incredible Hulk, mostly because of the Lou Ferrigno TV show. And my grandfather loved the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, except for 3. He thought 3 was stupid, which a lot of people thought, so that's okay. But the other thing a lot of people ask me, so my favorite superheroes right now currently are Harley Quinn from DC and Hawkeye from Marvel. Not movie, comic book Hawkeye. If we're talking movie, Deadpool, hands down. But even though that movie has not come out yet, but who cares? And then the other thing a lot of people ask me is, are you going to go back and review the movies, the live-action movies that led to the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Or are you going to go back and review previous Marvel Cinematic Universe movies? And my answer to that is basically, it depends. It basically depends on how many seasons of shows that I have until I run out of material. And if I run out of material, then yes, I might go back and actually analyze those movies from 2000 on that are live-action movies. So, like, the X-Men franchise, the Spider-Man franchise, the Fantastic Four franchise with Julian McMahon as Doctor Doom, which, by the way, he's a much better Doctor Doom than whatever the fuck that abomination is in Fan Four Stick. But,
At least the costume actually looked like Doctor Doom.
Right? I mean, he was a whiny little bitch, but at least he was Doom a little bit. So, yeah. So, if I have the time and I'm not, like, completely swamped with doing seasons and movies of what's currently happening, then yes, I will go back and I will do the movies starting in 2000. But as of right now, I have a lot. I still have to do Daredevil. I still have to do Flash. I still have to do Arrow seasons 2 and 3, which just ended. And I still have, possibly by next year, in the spring, after the spring is over, I will also have to review Jessica Jones and Agent Carter. I still have Agent Carter to do as well. So, like, I have a lot of series to get through first, but in the event that I, wind up with no series whatsoever in my plate, which will probably happen by next fall, then yes, I will go back. And I will start in 2000. I will not be reviewing the Blade movies. I don't care what you say. And work my way forward from the X-Men movie all the way up to where I left off with the movies.
You've also done a special series of reviews on James Bond movies.
Oh my god, yes, I have.
Yeah, why don't you tell us some about that as well?
Okay, so originally, I was like, okay, I want to review the James Bond movies, but the problem with reviewing James Bond movies is you can't review them like normal movies. You have to basically explain why the tropes are the way they are. So I did a 6-episodic series, which I am actually currently working on 2 crossovers, one with Brad Jones on Her Majesty's Secret Service, and one with the unemployed historian on Nerdvice, which is going to be GoldenEye, to coincide with the Spectre release, which is coming out in November, which there will be a vlog on that, by the way. But my thing is that, so when I made these episodes, I basically was like, okay, I need to break this down so that I explain the tropes, and I explain why these tropes are important, and then I explain the movies and why they're important. So I basically did the first 3 episodes of the 6-episode series was me explaining every trope that has to do with James Bond that is prevalent in almost every James Bond movie, if not all of them. And then the second 3 was Dr. No, From Russia with Love, and Goldfinger. And Goldfinger was more important to me because Goldfinger was really the Bond film, my grandfather's favorite Bond film, and I dedicated that episode in memory of him as well. But it was his favorite Bond film, and it's the most Bondiest of Bond movies.
Definitely most iconic,
yeah. No Bond movie, with the exception of maybe Skyfall, has the total package. And by total package, I mean the music, the Bond is in sync with his own universe, the M is in sync with Bond, the Q is in sync with Bond, although, to be fair, we had the same Q pretty much for the entire time, except for Ben Whishaw, who has just become the new Q.
Desmond Llewellyn.
Yeah, Desmond Llewellyn.
Forever my Q.
Yeah, so, although I have to hand it to Ben Whishaw, he had huge shoes to fill, and he did a pretty good job in Skyfall. I can't even lie.
He played a different kind of a Q, whereas when John Cleese was briefly a Q, he was kind of playing kind of the same thing as Desmond Llewellyn.
Yeah.
But then Skyfall, they introduced a completely different kind of Q, the young computer genius.
Right, and I kind of like that Q, especially for the 21st century. That sounds more like a Q that MI6 would hire in this day and age. The thing about that I love about Bond, and this is the thing that a lot of people don't realize, is Bond does move with his time, except for, the whole misogyny thing. But, I can forgive that because the source material is way worse than the actual films. Yes, that's right. They dumbed down. They got rid of a lot of the misogyny that was in those movies. It's kind of stupid.
Yeah, I remember reading the book to The Man with the Golden Gun, and then watching the movie after that, and I just could not marry the two together.
Yeah, my favorite quote ever, when people go, oh no, the Bond movies are so much worse. I'm like, well, at least in Dr. No, he didn't say the sweet tang, or no, I'm sorry, in Casino Royale, he didn't say the sweet tang of rape, so there is that. So, yeah, that's actually an actual direct quote from the Casino Royale book. So, if you guys have time to read the entire 13-book series, which I do recommend because they are great pieces of literature if you can get past the whole misogyny thing. But they are great pieces of literature, and they are fun to read if you can handle the misogyny and you can basically side stroke it with a pen. But other than that, if you can't do that, then James Bond books are not for you.
Ian Fleming also wrote the original book for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which, if you read it, is nothing like the Dick Van Dyke movie.
Yeah. Although I kind of like the child catcher, so I guess there is that.
Yeah. Honestly, I prefer the Dick Van Dyke movie to the book, because the book just got weird.
Yeah, the book is weird. If you don't know book, it's just terrible.
Alright. Heard you perk up earlier when David mentioned something involving Pokemon. I know you are a big Pokemon fan, as David and I are. In fact, your Pokemon fanness goes to such a level that you have outclassed David and I.
Yes, I have.
You are a part of a tabletop RPG based on the Pokemon franchise, which you can read some of the script-style recaps of out there at wigglewigglebreak.blogspot.com.
Yes.
It is fantastic.
We haven't done it in a few months because, a lot of people have, all the players are doing their own thing right now, but we're trying to schedule a new session because we're currently in the 4th gym right now. 4th or 5th gym. I don't remember. I think the 4th gym. But, anyway, so the way it works is, my ex-boyfriend is the DM, which a lot of people are like, oh, why are you still in the game if your ex-boyfriend's the DM? I can answer that. The answer is because I love this game more than I love my ex-boyfriend, more than I hate my ex-boyfriend. So, yeah, that's kind of how that works. But yeah, basically the way it works is, every Pokemon has their own character sheet, and every Pokemon has their personality reflected by their nature. So, I have a calm Umbreon. Her name is Soot, and she is my number 1, because the way you start with the game, the way he started the game was, you don't pick a starter that's like a contemporary starter like fire, water, or grass. You can pick any starter in the game as long as it's a non-legendary and it's the first evolution of that starter. So I started out with an Eevee, and I made her an Umbreon because I'm a Dark Trainer.
Because it was Gary's starter in Pokemon Yellow.
Exactly. So basically we go through the game it's D&D Pathfinder style, but each Pokemon gets their own character sheet, and each Pokemon you have to catch using specifically certain mechanics of Pokemon and certain mechanics of Pathfinder. So what I mean by that is, basically, when you want to catch a Pokemon, you have to roll to throw the Pokeball, and then the mechanics of Pokemon take over, where the DM rolls a d20 and 3 times for the wiggle wiggle capture, or wiggle wiggle break, as the case may be. Now, if the DM rolls a 20, that's an automatic critical break the Pokeball, and you either throw a new Pokeball or you move on. But if the Pokemon, I believe the will save is a DC 15 to get captured. So if he fails the DC 15 3 times in a row, he gets captured. If he fails it twice in a row, the third one, if it's high enough where the DC will be a DC 30 based on my will save, then the Pokemon gets captured. So it's a lot of weird mechanics and a lot of weird math, but Joe has these programs that help him out with that, and battles get fucking weird because, especially when we're all together, because there's 6 people in our party. Well, right now there's 4 people in our party, but when there were 6 people in our party and we all had 3 Pokemon each, that's 18 Pokemon. Plus the Pokemon that were NPCs. So, there's a lot. And, Dark-type Pokemon are very, very agile, because I'm basically training them to be ninjas. But they're very, very fragile. So, when I did the Fighting-type gym, I relied a lot on my Murkrow. Her name is Roses. And she is a bit of a ditz. What I mean by that is, she is really smart. She's very intelligent, but the problem she has is that she has no wisdom score whatsoever, really. So what happens is she's very happy-go-lucky in that she has a careful nature, which means she's fucking paranoid all the time, and she's alert to sounds, and she has insomnia. She's always awake, and she's always fucking like fucking crazy. So the way I made that work for me was I turned her into my sentry, which basically means that whenever she hears something when she's out of her Pokeball, she turns towards the sound and she screams at the top of her lungs, "Roses," which is her name, and everybody immediately turns to that direction. She's basically our walking, "Oh my god, there's something over there, you guys, you gotta deal with it right now," person. And what's really great is when I gave her name, I basically said, I'm going to call you Roses. And because Pokemon can talk to each other, she was introducing herself to the other Pokemon, and she was like, "My name is Roses. And then she puts roses at the end of every sentence. So every time she says roses in the Pokemon world, she's actually saying a physical sentence to another Pokemon, but humans just see it as her just saying her name and being annoying as fuck. Which is the funniest thing. And then I have a Larvitar who likes to eat dirt. Because soft sand, you guys. And he's fun. I have a Carvana who has a naughty nature, and he's very, very, I need to rip everything apart. So I don't take him out as often as I should, mostly because I don't want him to kill me. I have a Houndoom, who is a very playful puppy. He is the runt of the litter, but when it comes to protecting me, oh hell yeah, he will bring fire and brimstone. I have a Ditto because my character backstory is that my father is an Eevee breeder. So I have a Ditto.
I like your character's father very much.
Yes, the reason I did that was because I said I was from New York, which is the Unova region, and there's that Eevee pen in black and white. So I said, that's my house, that's where all the Eevee are, that's my house, that's what my dad does. He is an Eevee breeder, and he provides Eevees to every region in the Pokemon universe. So, from now on, Pokemon fanatics, every time you play black and white, that's who it is. It's my dad. So, what else do I have? Oh, I also have a Sandile that I recently caught, who I named Destruction, and my Judgment is the name of my Houndoom, and then what else? Oh, and then my favorite Pokemon outside of Umbreon, I currently have a Sneasel, whose name is Frostbite. He's my fucking ninja. He is literally my ninja. He goes into places, he scopes them out before anybody fucking realizes it, comes back and goes, "No, we can't go that way." And everybody goes like, "Why not?" And he just signs to them like, "Hey, there's this giant thing over there that's really fucking terrifying. Don't go over there." So, but because we're stupid and we're human, we can't read Pokemon language, so we have to do constant linguistics checks. And if we fail them, we literally just look at our Pokemon like, "Dude, what the fuck are you on?" So,
which is probably how humans would actually react to Pokemon, let's be honest.
True. Although I will say that Synchronize works a little bit differently. So my Umbreon has Synchronize, which basically means that if one of us is feeling sheer terror, the other one will feel it immediately and be able to, because we grew up together. That's that's how I justified it. Was because I've had this Eevee since it's been born, and it was raised with me, and I raised it, and it was my pet. And, my father never sold that because he knew it was supposed to be mine. That Eevee and I are so in sync that we know each other's emotions pretty much immediately. So, when things go down, when I got knocked unconscious, she becomes a rabid dog. She literally will kill people. The only person that she trusts besides me is Tom Cedar, who is the point of view of the Wiggle Wiggle Break vlog. That is the only person she trusts outside of me because Tom has never done anything terrible to me. So that is something that she is comfortable with, giving Tom that kind of power to say to her, I need you to do this, and she will do it. But yeah, I'm a total nerd right now. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Honestly, I kind of wish I would be able to play with that.
I'm going to be honest with you. I would too. Actually, it kind of reminds me a lot of something that I wanted to make several years back called Pokemon USA.
What's
which
that?
was basically the US map with Pokemon.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, I had thought about that, but like I said, a lot of things got in the way, personal life and stuff like that. But you know, I totally understand how you feel. A lot of people have been asking me, why do you leave the game? Because my ex-girlfriend was also into Pokemon as well. And as a matter of fact, my ex-girlfriend also had the same favorite Pokemon as me. So...
Well, that's awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think I think David's come out on the better end of it, because at least among the greater Pokemon community, that Pokemon has become more identified with him than her. So
Greetings from TG Geeks Webcast, where
Ben
and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, you name it, we talk about it.
Find our episodes each week on tggeeks.com.
Visit our Facebook page, TG Geeks Webcast.
On Google Plus and YouTube, look for us as Two Gay Geeks. You can tweet at TG Geeks and at the Two Gay Geeks.
Or call our feedback line at 469-TG-GEEKS, that is 469-844-3357. Happy listening. Peace.
Cheers.
like what you're hearing? Well, feel free to subscribe to us and get new videos as they're released. And be sure to like and share this video, and go over to facebook.com/casualmodepodcast and give us a like. Thanks!